So this is my load development for 6.5 Creedmoor. I've got brand new Lapua cases, and this is how I'm going to be loading these. I'm going to be using Hodgson 4350 powder, and I'm going to be loading these at 40.5 grains, and this will be 20, 30, and 40 thousandths off of the lands. These will be loaded with 40.6 grains of powder, and those will be 20, 30, and 40 thousandths off the lands. These will have 40.8 grains of powder, and these will be 20, 30, 40, and 25 thousandths off of the lands. So we will record these, we'll shoot them, and we'll see how they do. We'll also be using Sierra Match King 140 grain hollow point boat tail bullets. So in order to charge the cases, we'll be using the RCBS Uniflow powder measure. And what we'll do is we will throw a charge that is close to the charge weight that we're going with here. And then we will use the Hornady powder trickler and this beam scale, and we will trickle the powder up to get the exact weight that we want. And I'll show you that here in just a second. But on this scale, each of these small marks represents 5 grains in weight. So you've got 0 to 25 to 50, 100, 150, and so forth. So this would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So we're going to bring this over and set that on 40. Don't know if you can see that or not. There we go. So that's on 40. And then here on this side, each of these marks is 1 grain, 2 grains, 3 grains. And each of these in between is 1/10. So I'm here halfway between the 0 and the 1. So we've got this set for 40.5 grains of powder. And I created this little jig that you see right here. And I've made this so that I can slip my phone right into it. And it's set so that the lens on the camera is the same height as this center mark. Because when we measure this, we want to get that beam right on that center right there. So this keeps me from having to bend over and strain in order to see this. Because since the phone has a 2-dimensional screen, I'll be able to see when that's exactly on that center line. Okay, so I'll be using my iPad to record this with. You can see the scale is set up there. I've got it set at 40.5 grains charge. And here's my iPhone set up so I can watch this needle move on the beam scale as I weigh it. And you'll be able to see this as well. Okay, and that one just raises the scale, so that's kind of where we want it. Then I'll move the powder trickler into place. And I'll turn this knob. And you'll be able to see a few grains of powder start to trickle in. Now, unfortunately, I can't record this and the beam scale at the same time, so when this starts to move, I'm going to go back over here so that you can watch what I'm seeing on the iPhone. And I trickle the powder a little bit at a time. And there we are. We're at 40.5 grains. And I take that and I charge the first case. Then I move the funnel over to the second case. I dispense another charge and put it on the scale. Get it so you can see both at the same time. See a little bit of powder trickling in there. And you see that line coming up on the scale. A little bit more. One more grain, or one more granule. Then we slide that out of the way. We dump our second charge. Move the funnel over. We dispense another charge. Back to the scale. And you can't see what I'm doing over here, but I'm turning this ever so slightly. And there we are at 40.5. So I'll slide that out of the way. We'll charge our third case. And I think you've got the idea here. So I've got about 50 more to do, or 47 more to do, and then I'll come back. Okay, so once the cases are all charged, you want to take a look inside and check each one to make sure none were missed. In some situations, you want to be careful to make sure that you didn't accidentally double charge the case. That's not going to happen here, because what would happen if you double charged one of these, the powder wouldn't run completely out of the funnel because it would fill the case up and then remain part of the way in the funnel. So you would have to lift that up carefully and dump that out. But in this case, we can see that they have all been charged. So now we're ready to seat the bullets. Okay, so for the seating depth, we want these 20 thousandths off of the lands. And so I know from having measured this with my Hornady comparator gauge, I know that this needs to seat, the cartridge length to ogive needs to be 2.295. .361. We got a ways to come down. .294. That's probably as close as we're going to get it. .296. And as you can see, we still have a substantial amount of the cartridge inside the neck. So I'm going to load the rest of these, and then the next step will be to package them up and shoot them.